Welcome back to Strippers One YouTube channel. I'm your host, Matt. Today, we deep dive into the Brouwer Solutions LLC M1811 and M1823 polymer, aluminum, and steel frame grip modules for the M17 or 320 SIG line of handguns. Stay tuned as I jam some magazines, throw on my gear, and enjoy a little bit of sun over here on the East Coast for a change. No more snowpocalypses. And bring to you some content showing these amazing grips. Really good. Ready. Matt from Strippers One YouTube channel. Today, we're out here at Coleman's Creek and we're shooting the SIG M17 in the Brouwer Solutions M1811 grip configuration. And I have two additional grip configurations to show you all. So Brouwer Solutions, just quick rundown, and myself started our relationship a few years back. The M17 SIG pistol came to fruition, was starting to be issued across the Army. I was not a huge fan of the SIG M17, and for various reasons, I'm still not a great big fan of the M17 by itself. Well, that said, when you add the innovation of Brouwer Solutions LLC, their M1811 and their M1823 grip or frame, which I'll show you those in more detail as we move forward, that's, to me, everyone says this, a game changer. It's a game changer. What Brouwer Solutions did was, through hundreds of various CAD and draft versions, create what I would call the ultimate pistol frame on the market. What is it? A lot like a 1911 or a 2011. Kind of interesting that John Moses Browning had his angle right, he had the exact circumference right, a lot of the geometry right. So what Brouwer has done is essentially create a frame that retrofits the SIG. Now remember, the SIG, the trigger module, is the serial numbered part. So when you're registering a SIG as a firearm or whatever, it's a trigger module that drops into the frame. So we can get a frame for as little as 80 or 90 bucks, which the Brouwer Solutions is in that price bracket, depending on the configuration you choose. You can get a variety of colors. This is a very near color match to the SIG issued Coyote brown or tan, which is pretty significant. Additionally, the Brouwer, if we go into all the nerdy details, is significantly stronger than the issued SIG frame. And you can add on great things like the magazine well here, which really helps with reloads. So how did I get involved? Well, a mutual friend was like, hey, you need to talk to Josh at Brouwer, Josh Bennett, amazing guy. We have a lot of mutual friends, including one of my bosses in the past, and our relationship started at that point. I reached out to Josh. I was like, hey, I heard you got these grips. Thought it's something that we could look at. We're being forced to use SIGs, not Glocks, not Berettas. So eventually it's going to be a thing. I want to get ahead of the curve and figure out like what you have to offer. So Josh, full disclosure, sent me some grips to try out. He said, hey, you owe us nothing. Try these grips out. See what you think. And I was like, man, the grip feels good. First thing you hear 9 times out of 10 when people grab this, the grip feels good. What can we quantify about a grip feeling good? Well, fast forward, and myself and Josh and some other members of the United States Army Special Operations community devised a test. It's called the JMAP test protocol. That's was ran by Brian Nelson, who is very connected with Practice Score. He came up with a series of drills and series of courses of fire that test the shooter's ability with the SIG M17 frame. The only thing we changed was the frame. So same trigger module, same upper, same dot system, which we were using Trijicon RMRs across ours at the time. And there was a average amongst 5 shooters, various skill levels, but special operations instructors at a schoolhouse. And I won't go into any more detail than that, but and all of our scores averaged 30% improvement. 30% improvement changing the frame. We're not talking about, now there were some people that were 20 and some people were 40. So there's vast improvement for some people. I give a lot of credit to the pointability of it, and you'll see in these videos, like this grip is incredibly easy to shoot, easy to point, returns to 0 really quickly. With handguns, I've been shooting handguns long enough, I can make it work. It's kind of like when your truck has a flat tire, you can use a spare and you can get home. Doesn't mean that you're in the optimal configuration, right? I would argue that the Brouwer Solutions frame is the optimal solution for the SIG. If you're issued a SIG pistol in the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, across DOD, or law enforcement, you should be using this frame. Period. That's my end of rant right there. What I will say is if you compete with a SIG, you should be using one of the other 2 frames. So stay tuned. All right. So another subject that I want to cover while we're on the range talking about the SIG. Anytime we talk about the SIG M17 320 series or family of pistols, I tend to get a plethora of stupid comments about liking holes in my legs, holes that my body was not given. All right. With that said, to my knowledge at this time, there's been one negligent discharge incident with the SIG M17 or M18 series of pistol. That incident that I'm tracking was a service member that had a Safariland holster, which doesn't do anything with the trigger, and the brass was outside of the holster on the ground. This holster encapsulates the pistol, so if it went off, the brass would be jammed into the pistol. Truth of the matter is the service member was playing with the gun and the gun went off. All right. With the manual safety, there's been 0 to my knowledge reports of them going off. I've extensively tested it. Brouwer's extensively tested it. We've got team members with Brouwer that have over 50,000 rounds on a frame without any extra shots going off that we didn't expect. I will not say the same thing about the 320 line without the safety. I've seen the videos. I've seen the reports. I do believe it is a thing. I believe SIG's probably addressed it. I think there's a lot of guns in circulation, so there's probably some issues floating out there still. I highly recommend, if you're going to pick up a SIG M17 and you're impressed with what the Brouwer Solutions grip does, which I am, that you stick with the M17 with the manual safety. You figure out how to activate, deactivate the safety. I've not had issues leaving it on fire, but it just doesn't cost me anything to add safety, the manual safety to the gun and drop it back in the holster when I'm running around or I'm laying the gun down in a stage. So just for everyone's awareness, I want to address that issue before anyone comes to the comments flaming about, getting holes in my leg. So far, the only holes that are on me are the ones God gave me. So yeah, we'll keep it that way. X, Tier 1 concealment holster. Love you guys. Not sponsored by you, but I can be bought. Yes, that's a fact. So what brings us out here today is the Brouwer Solutions M17 or 320 series family frames. Okay, we have the M1811, the 1823. So the 1811 is the polymer frame. The 1823 includes both the aluminum and go to grab it. I feel the different steel. Also, so what's such a big deal about Brouwer Solutions? Well, this is a SIG M17 frame made by SIG, right, New Hampshire. There's a lot about it that's kind of unremarkable. It feels like they missed the mark. There's been a lot of issues with SIG. If you peruse the internet for 10 minutes, you're going to hear problems with SIGs accidentally discharging. You're going to hear problems with the SIG frame cracking or breaking due to the way that the polymer is made or plastic's made. I don't think it's actually the same polymer that like Glock uses. Glock kind of nailed it pretty well with that piece, and we'll have to give it to them. But with that said, My friends Blake and Josh over at Brouwer Solutions, and they're good friends at this point, came out with the M1811 grip. They've done everything they can to beef up and ensure that it's sturdy, that it'll hold up. They've tested this at altitudes up to 10,000 feet for up to a week at a time, freezing conditions at sub-zero temperatures, all the way into the heat. Now there's shooters running these grips from all over the United States military, a lot of law enforcement organizations, and some competitive shooters. If you are tied to a SIG 320 or M17 in any way, shape, or fashion, you got to have one of these grips. So what do they do that I really like? Well, so what do they do that's so awesome beyond a polymer frame, right? The polymer frame, the grip angle, all that stuff, yeah. You got to try it to believe it. But secondly, we've started discussing, and they're like, hey, man, we're real close to having a aluminum frame. This aluminum frame, I don't have a weight comparison right now. Maybe I'll clip that into the video during edits. But we're talking mere maybe 3-ounce difference between the aluminum and the actual issued SIG frame. But the amount of texture and the grip angle and all the great things that Brouwer's done is amazing. You can see the aggressive stippling on here. You are not going to lose your grip. It grabs you like you wouldn't believe. Then Brouwer did exactly the same thing with a steel version. The steel version is about 1.5 pounds heavier than the aluminum and then the issued frame. So what it does for recoil is pretty remarkable, and you'll see in the footage. So big things I want to highlight is just how incredible Brouwer's machine work is on these frames and how incredible the overall product is what Brouwer has to offer. All right. With that said, let's get back to shooting. Nice slow. Kind of hard to believe that this is a polymer frame snapping back on target that fast. So it's really hard to believe that a polymer frame, just a straight replacement for an M17, is able to move that fast and track. What I've found shooting this thing through quite a few competitions, and I kind of prefer the aluminum. I don't like to go super heavy. A lot of the matches I've been doing, as you've been following me, or the gun run or the tactical sniper series where you got to move a significant distance. I've preferred the aluminum for weight in the holster, not trying to add an extra 1.5 pounds to anything for that purpose. Now, if you're shooting USPSA, you want the gun to lead as much recoil as possible, stay tuned and you'll see the steel. All right, so we have taken a tactical pause and we switched out to the aluminum M17 grip module. You zoom in on there and get some sexy footage of that. This thing is incredible. It's been my ¡1 choice for competitions the last 6 months. So far, I think I've shot 4 matches with this frame, and it just keeps getting better. The acro is my #1 choice of red dot, so combination, just this would be me. So now I'm going to show you what the aluminum frame looks like for me. The thing that I noticed about this, the last match I shot, and I notice it again right now, is the dot just returns to 0. Like, it tracks up and down equally every single time. It's pretty impressive. Just seems to me that the pistol points a little faster, and as I'm trying to point it from target to target, the dot lands right in the center. Okay, will you cut? So there we are. There's a magazine and a half or whatever, however many rounds with the aluminum frame. All right. And I think probably to date, my round count is the highest with the polymer for obvious reasons. I helped them test, develop that initially. Second highest with the aluminum. And today was the first time I've had a chance to shoot my steel frame. Gotta love the holiday crud, SHOT Show, time with the kids at Christmas, all those things kind of compounded to where I had a beautiful steel frame sitting there, and it was like, take me, shoot me. And I have just now got out here and shot it today. Cut. Nice. Slide lock. There you go. Good job.
All right. That one actually feels good.
I think. Look, oh yeah, it leaves marks.
I'm grabbing it so hard.
It leaves, but it does that for everybody. Everybody talks about it. They're like, it leaves its print, but it doesn't seem to cut you or make you bleed.
No.
So like, here we go. Send it.
Oh, it's been recording this whole time.
Fuck, stop it. This grip module by Brouwer, and I didn't put the magwell on the steel because I usually use it on the aluminum, but there is a magwell that slides on and set screws into the bottom. So it's probably the most secure magwell I've ever ran, which is pretty cool. It's machined to fit around the existing magwell. This is a steel M1823 frame for the M17. So again, for me, I purchased a M17 personal one to run that was identical to what we're issued. And that's what I've been throwing on the Brouwer Solutions frame. Other people use the 320 without the safety. I prefer to use the 320 or the M17 with the safety, and I'll talk more about that in a separate video or a separate segment. On to the fun part, shooting. So this time, steel frame. Still some recoil, but it seems to settle back in. Seems to me to be more difficult to drive. Let's see up close. Maybe not. Okay, not bad. So observations from shooting that just now. I noticed the dot stayed right in the middle on those high round counts. Probably better than either of the other frames. It was a little more difficult for me initially, and I've been dry firing with this steel frame for about a month and a half. It's a little more difficult for me driving, and I noticed a little more fatigue in my upper body, my hands, like trying to hold the steel frame still. Steel frame still. Say that 5 times fast. That's pretty fun. But so big thing I would say is it's based on your application. Which frame do you need? Do you need the steel? Do you need an aluminum, or do you need a polymer? I highly recommend dropping right in the middle, get the aluminum. I think it does the best for both worlds. If you're into more of the gun running, more of the CrossFit games, aka tactical games, / that type of stuff, you're going to want the aluminum frame. Keeps it light on your hips, but it still deletes a lot of recoil. It still points a lot faster, in my opinion. All the benefits of the steel without the extra 1.5 pounds roughly of weight. If you shoot USPSA, you shoot steel challenge, things where you want the gun returning faster, that's probably going to be the steel frame that you want. All right, well, thank you all for tuning in today. Obstreperous One YouTube channel, not a podcast yet, unless we want to do that in the future. Comment down below, let me know. So I appreciate you all tuning in. If you like this content, I apologize for it being so long between the last video around Thanksgiving to now. It's been a crazy holiday season, and then just getting back from SHOT Show, got some things to share with you all, some videos from that, but I'll be a little behind on that as well. The big thing I want to say is thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your followership, kind of like friendship, but followship maybe. Thank you all for following. I'd appreciate that if you do like this content, you share it with your friends. Maybe you know somebody that has an M17 and they're in need of a good grip. Share it with them. Maybe you know somebody that's issued an M17 that doesn't know about the Brouwer Solutions grips. Please push this out there to the masses. I'd love for them to get the information needed. And as always, stay obstreperous. Right a little bit. You aim the lollipop? This big round circle? Red dot to go in that. I put a circle on him. Your hit was like 7 o'clock. Good low. There you go. There you go. You're in. Next. Ammo. Help him. Ammo. There you go. Good. That's it. You're all now. That's all good. That's what you're doing. Remember. You're in toes. There you go. All right, and one other question I'm sure everyone has by now. If you're still following, if you're still watching the video, why the bright shirt? Fun little short story. I was in a school last year, saw this amazing sale from Warrior Wear. Shameless plug, amazing material. And I was like, man, had my phone brightness turned all the way down, the lowest setting, because it's at night, you know, don't want to blast my brain with those blue light waves. And here I am looking at the sale, and I was like, wow, they got this shirt on sale for like almost half off. Let me add that to my shopping cart. And I woke up the next day and I saw that I had ordered it. And I was like, yes, it's going to be at home soon. I get home, open the package, and discover that my chocolate chip camouflage shirt was yellow. And I was like, this is one of those Temu things. They must have got me. Must be China scammed me. And then I looked it up and I realized I had ordered El Mexico Polo, aka the yellow camo. So, well, you know what? What better time to wear it than Sunday Fun Day?